Hi, welcome to the third episode of Mind Stretch. If you are just tuning in, welcome for the first time. My name is Alana Durand. I'm part of the team at The Well Winner. We're a team of three, and we pretty much have our hands in everything, but my background and experience makes me the resident mental health expert here. I've been a therapist, and I was also a competitive Irish dancer for 15 years, so I have kind of a fun combo that I bring to the table. Today, I really want to dive into the topic of nerves. We have gotten so many submissions via our questions bubble for this very series, and also tons of DMs like, what can I do when I feel super nervous? I know a lot of our followers are also competitive Irish dancers, but not exclusively. So when I talk about nerves, what I really mean is anything like the feeling, that nervous feeling that comes up before a big competition, before any competition, before game day, before a presentation in school or at work, before, if you raise your hand and you really don't like public speaking, that counts too. But I think what I want to emphasize is it's the kind of nerves that we don't want them to go away. We know why they're there. Like, we're nervous, we're excited, like this is a big thing, this is really important to us. And it's important that we either put our best performance on the stage or use our voice to speak up, whatever it is that's going on. Like, these are the kind of nerves that, in my opinion, tell us that we are doing something that is important to us, that is meaningful, and is kind of like a very validating arrow. Like, yes, you are nervous. Like, this is good. We want the adrenaline pumping through our bodies because we're about to do something really big. And in that regard, it's not really about getting rid of the nerves, because we're not going to do that. This is a big thing. They're not going anywhere. It's just about channeling them, to be really honest. It's about understanding them as fuel rather than something that is getting in our way. So that would be honestly my first tip, is to see if you can visualize the nerves coursing through your body as fuel, the same way we put fuel into a car. It's like, this is the thing that's going to help me get my best dancing on stage, or use my voice to speak up during this presentation, or really feel in sync with my teammates during this big game, whatever it is. And then with that visualization, look, I get it. So we're visualizing it as fuel. We understand this is really important to us. We understand this is not a bad thing that's happening to us, but they still can be kind of inhibiting. Like, if you get really bad nerves, which is so normal, it still can be hard. Like, it's hard to warm up, it's hard to focus, it's hard to listen to our coaches or our teachers. So there are some things that we can do to just manage the symptoms. That's really all it comes down to. If you are struggling with nerves or wanting to improve nerves before something really important, big nerves we'll call them, if you are wanting to navigate big nerves, it's just about managing the physiological symptoms. So I'm going to recommend a series of grounding techniques, and at The Well Winner we will be pushing out more content related to grounding techniques because they're huge. They're also really helpful if you struggle with panic attacks or severe anxiety. It's the same concept of regulating our nervous system very acutely, which means just like in the immediate moment. So any grounding techniques, any techniques, and I'm going to offer a short list here today. We'll offer continued lists moving forward. We'll offer expansions on breathing techniques, which I'm going to mention. We'll hopefully offer meditations if you stay tuned. So just consider this a good starting point, and a good, always, like what this series is and what our platform is. Just consider this, continuing the conversation. So grounding techniques for me, when I think like what are some really great options for grounding techniques, it's going to be anything that helps us connect to our five senses, because that's going to help us connect to our body in the present moment. So anything that brings us to the present moment. So some really simplistic examples of this would be: go to the bathroom, turn on the faucet to either hot or cold. I'd recommend cold, just so you don't burn yourself. Turn it on to really cold and run your hands under cold water, and focus only on the cold water running over your hands, and feel the cold water on your hands. Feel your hands. You're bringing yourself to the experience of having that cold sensation on your hands, and you'll notice, hopefully, that you'll begin to regulate a little bit. You have less time to focus on how nervous you are because you're focusing on the experience the more pressing experience in your body, which is that cold water on your hands, hopefully. Same goes for bring an ice pack to game day or to the morning of a big competition and hold on to either ice or an ice pack. Same idea. Do you want to just bring yourself to your physical body in that present moment? It's a good way to stimulate that. Like I mentioned, breathing exercises are going to be huge, and there are several kind of like quick go-to ones that I will explain further in future offerings. Meditation, if you have a meditation app, again, we are hoping to push this out as well, but you don't need us to do everything. So if you have a meditation app or if you have a go-to meditative technique, give that a try. That's great for grounding yourself in the present moment. Listening to music can be good. I offer this under the context of grounding techniques. I offer this very specifically. I mean like listening to the music, like putting the headphones in, putting a specific song on and listening to the words, picking out, maybe you pick out a specific instrument or a specific artist on the track and you say like, I'm gonna really focus on their voice or their sound. And the whole point is to stimulate that sense of hearing and kind of bring yourself to your present experience. So listening to music really mindfully in that way. And if you are curious about that, I'm more than happy to explain that further. But that's another grounding technique. This one's kind of fun. You can, it's like fun in that it's not fun at all. You can count backwards from 100. Or do a really hard math problem, and the idea behind that is to just stimulate a different part of the brain, kind of shake things up, like, oh, what are you doing to me right now? Like, this is not a time for math. But in doing that, you're kind of shaking yourself up and bringing yourself back to the present moment, because this is a time for math. I need to, I'm making myself do this math problem right now. All of these are kind of take it or leave it. See what works for you. Take a handful to your next competition and say, whoop, that one doesn't work, or that one. And that's the thing, like, it might not. These are not like hard and fast. I think you guys know that by now, that these are not hard and fast, one size fits all offerings. It's about finding what works for you and making that a practice. Are you guys sick of me saying that everything is a practice? Because it is. Surprise. So math problems. Oh, this one's really fun. These last two are ways to stimulate feeling using our sense of touch. And I love to do this if I feel like I have stuck energy or really high energy or nervous energy somewhere in my body. So it's the morning of a big competition and I feel like I have a lot of stuck energy. Maybe first notice where it is. A lot of times it gets stuck for me in my chest here. And I just kind of start unblocking it, like physically unblocking it, start moving that energy. I am experiencing the touch of my fist, and I am moving that energy all throughout my body. And in the same way, I can bring in that visualization of like, okay, there's fuel in here and I want to bring it to the right valves to get what I need to get on the stage today. And I'm moving, I go all the way down. I can't see my feet right now, but I'm doing it all the way down to my feet, and I'm moving that energy throughout my body. And what I'm really doing, the moving my energy throughout the body, that's a visualization technique, which I recommend. But what I'm really doing is I'm like feeling my fist on my body and stimulating that grounding technique with touch. The last one, I do this all the time. The last one is, and you don't have to do this to yourself, someone else can do this for you, but it's giving yourself a hug. I love doing this. Sometimes when I'm super stressed out or super nervous, the idea of someone else touching me, like as good as it feels to get hugs, some people love getting hugs when they're stressed out. Sometimes I'm just like, I need to be alone. I'm too stressed out. But that doesn't mean I can't offer myself a hug. And again, same concept, I'm stimulating touch. And I'm bringing myself to the present moment. I'm feeling my arms around my body. I'm really having a very mindful hug with myself, and I'm focusing on the experience of my arms wrapped around me and the touch on my body. A lot of these grounding techniques, they're meant to stimulate a mindful response, but you do have to be willing to bring yourself to the present moment. So I'm feeling myself hugging myself in the present moment, and that helps to calm me down a lot. I actually do that all day. Oh yeah, I'm that crazy person that hugs themselves in the middle of the day for seemingly no reason, but usually to calm myself down. Also, I never call people crazy people, so I take that back, but that was a joke. That's actually my last grounding technique. In terms of what I'm offering today, I want to thank you all for coming to the 3rd episode of Mind Stretch. Keep your eyes peeled for the questions bubble for future episodes. Like I said, the amount of submissions that we've got for help nerves are so overwhelming on competition day, was so much so that it felt like I can't not have this be the 3rd topic that we address on this series, because you guys are so not alone. You're so in the same boat, and I'm hoping that some of the techniques that I brought to you today help you find some relief. But if I can emphasize anything, again, nerves are not a bad thing. Nerves are actually really important. If you're not nervous, I might ask you why. Why does it not feel like this big competition is something that is stimulating all that adrenaline flow? And maybe there is something to be said there for it not being something that feels super meaningful or important to you. So remember that those nerves are information, and they're pointing you towards something that you really, really care about. Okay, I think it's time that I wrap it up. I will see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in.